Today's comics market is ripe with new titles by creators who are determined to get their books into your hands. My name is Onrie. For the last decade, I've been making and selling my own creator-owned comics and dealing as a collector in live sales. My signature series, Yi Sun Shin, is the book that cannot be defeated in battle and has over 250,000 copies in print. Now I'm taking comics to the next level and laying the groundwork for my fellow creators to get their voices heard so they can connect directly with you. This is your chance to engage live with top comic book talent and get your comics signed without having to wait in long lines or pay any fees. But remember, we only have a limited amount of their books in stock, so always remember to call it as you see it. You're watching Virtual Signings with Onrie, the live event show.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back. Virtual Signings with Onrie, the live event show. This week's episode is actually a pre-recorded episode. This is the first time we're doing this. When this episode is being aired right now, I will be at Cincinnati Comic Expo. But if you're on my email list, which you should be, then you'll know that this is a really, really excellent opportunity for you guys to snag some awesome, awesome comics from an incredible creator who is basically our first pre-recorded guest. He's our guinea pig today. And let's show him some love. Let's show him some support. Comment, place your comments in there. Call it as you see it. You guys know what to do. We're going to talk about his books right now, but more importantly, we're going to get to know him a little bit better. We've had him on the show before, but now I really want to get to know more about his publishing endeavors and his production techniques and all that stuff. So this is going to be a really great episode. Post your comments. We will respond to them. He's fantastic about that, and I promise I will respond to all of your comments as well. So without further ado, let me introduce today's guest, Travis Gibb. Travis Gibb.
Oh!
Yay! There we go.
I need two introductions before I come in. I'm always that late guy at the party, fashionably late, want to look good,
Two times a charm, right?
Right. And even though we're doing this early, right? I love that you continue to say live, Onrie live, to let people know that even though it's pre-recorded, it's live.
Well, Travis, that's one thing I want to say about you is that if someone is talking about your work, like if I'm showing your book on a live sale, you're there to talk about it and to walk the audience through it. So right. I feel like you're the perfect person to bring on for this, because when this will actually be live, I won't be able to necessarily push it at that moment. I would push it beforehand, and I'll make a post and I'll share it and everything, but it's very different. I needed to bring on a creator that understands how all this works.
Sure.
And, I can't think of anybody better. So before we go on, why don't you tell us all who you are, what you do, and then we'll kind of jump into some questions that I've thought of for you.
Yeah. I'm Travis Gibb. I own a publishing company called Orange Cone Productions, and we do several titles. We do Broke Down 4 Dead Bodies. We do Voodoo Nations, and we do a book called Cthulhu Invades Oz, as well as Cthulhu Invades Wonderland. So lots of really cool stuff. Each of those are really cool and have their own vibes and their own stuff. And we'll probably go into each of the individual titles. But yeah, I self-publish, do all my stuff through Kickstarter. But I can't really announce it yet, Onrie, but a couple of these books are in contract signing to go to other publishers. So you'll see another logo on them next time you see them, which means these ones are more valuable. Can't tell you which ones, can't talk about it, but we're in negotiations. It looks like a pretty solid deal.
I love that. That's fantastic that you underline that, because folks, that's what it's about. Right now, Travis has his imprint, Orange Cone Productions, and it could be any one of the projects that he talks about today. He's not going to tell us which one because he can't. It's until everything's on the line, you can't talk about this because you could botch a deal. Things could change. But I can tell you this: Travis has been doing this long enough that I guarantee you that this deal is going to happen. And once it does happen, the value of these books is going to rise, simply because of the fact that it's not going to be reprinted the same way anymore. It's going to always be reprinted under that banner or by any other publisher who decides to license that IP. So this is a pretty
and
big
lesser quality paper. I mean, because very few do the high quality paper that I do for my stuff. I'll probably change covers. There's probably a lot of things, but that makes me these rarer. You know, if you look at the Crow, you know, the Crow went to Image, it got reprinted there. It's done all sorts of stuff, but you know, finding the original Caliber run, that's the holy grail, right?
Absolutely. And honestly,
it's self-published. Now I think about it. Actually, I think
was it Caliber or was it Kitchen Sink who put out the Crow?
I think it's Kitchen Sink. Then Caliber did the first reprint, which made it popular.
Oh, really? Okay,
yeah,
I didn't know. That's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite independent comics, and you know that's one of the cool things. You know, when we get into this field, and I made a post about this last weekend. Like we're always trying to break in, right? As comic creators. Like there's no point where it's like, oh, I got in. Now you got to reestablish yourself. Every time you get a new project out there, you're back at square one. You're trying to break in again, and it doesn't matter how well established you are. But the ability to figure it out quicker comes because of your experience in the field, and you have a lot of background experience aside from being a publisher and a writer and a creator. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, how did you fall into this field, and how did you, how have you been able to figure this out? You know, this is I think something that we all want to know.
Yeah. So I started in film. You know, when I was in high school, I really wanted to be a filmmaker. So that was my dream. I was hugely influenced by Quentin Tarantino, Kevin Smith, Rob Rodriguez, and just studied film on like every level and every aspect of it. So I came to Florida. I didn't do well in school, but not because I'm not smart. I did great on my SATs and everything. It's not because I'm not smart. It's because I care about people way more than I care about education. Like I just love people, like interacting with them and figuring out what makes them tick. It's why, you know, you see me collaborate with so many things from like Cthulhu Invades Oz and stuff like that. It's all about people and relationships. That's far more important to me than any of the work, because that's really what matters in the world. But so I went here, got a film degree, and I learned everything I needed to do for film. But at the end of it, I started, you know, I always collected comics, and I started, you know, dabbling in comics. And I realized as it got faster that, hey, to really do this, I would probably be better off doing comics first and then doing film, because, you know, it's an easier transition. It's a little bit less money. I know the field a little better because I've been collecting comics my whole life. I know what people are looking for. I know what people want. You know, take Broke Down and Four Dead Bodies. So many people told me when that book came out, don't do these big, long titles, right? Don't do these super long titles. Nobody likes that. But everything's selling right now, super long titles. Something's Killing the Children. The Me Promise Me in the Dark. You know, all these are big long spiders. Right. We don't get, they're all these big, long titles because that's the trend. It flows. It's ebb and flows in comics. It always has. It goes back and forth. Same thing in movies, right? You know, Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead, 12 Skulls in a duffel bag. Like, it goes long titles, short titles. It's kind of a thing. So I'm really good at following trends because of my degree in marketing as well. So after film, went into marketing, do web design and marketing on the side.
That's it. That's outstanding. Okay, now let's get into it from the artistic standpoint. You're a publisher, so your responsibility, and correct me if I'm wrong or expand upon it if you can, is not only to write the script. That's only the first part. It's also to find the artist and to direct the artist, because I would think, and this is how I feel when it comes to making my comics, that you're going to be the guy who is slinging this for the rest of your life, or however long you choose to keep this in print. And you need to be proud of the work that you're doing. So can you walk us through a little bit of your production process? Like when it comes to doing layouts, is it something that you lend to the artist to figure out? Or is it something that you try and have more of a hands-on approach with? You know, how in-depth involved are you in the actual art process as the publisher and writer?
Yeah. You're super blurry over there, by the way.
I'm sorry about that.
You're good. I'm just hoping that on the live that people can see it better. And I can take out mine if I need to.
You know what? Let me answer the question, I'm going to come in hard line in. It'll just take me 1 second. Give me go on. With
So what I do and the way I do things is my scripts tend to be a little bit loose. I tend not to put a lot of pressure on the artist, but what I do is particular scenes are really important. But I also figure out every book of mine has to have a style and a voice. One of the mistakes that independent creators work is they tell a story and they tell it from beginning to end, and they just kind of throw it out there and just do it. And their books are no different than anything else, and especially harmful. A lot of indie creators love superheroes. It's very harmful in that arena because people have seen superheroes the same way over and over again. So I tell a story. So if you look at Broke Down always starts with a flashback that tells you something that's happened in the story, kind of building a brand there. If you look at Voodoo Nations, it's like a movie. It's got these big title shots that come flowing in. That's the beginning opening scene. It always starts with a flashback to try to build that momentum, to try to build that brand and give my books a unique look and feel to it. Everything I do is very intentional. When you look at Broke Down, it's very, very clean. It's like an anime style. It's very, very clean and very, very open and bright because crime isn't told that way. When you look at crime comics, you see dark, gritty, dark lines, dark stuff. I went the opposite. Hey, what does it look like in the day? And that was a story decision. Same thing with Voodoo Nations, where I went a lot more dark, but really tying into missionaries and what that looks like and what the design of voodoo looks like. So I went the opposite way with a lot of darker lines. And even in Cthulhu Invades Oz, we built everyone does anthologies and they just throw things together. That's not the way I look at things and the way I do stories. So Cthulhu Invades Oz is a beginning, middle, and end. It's an anthology story, but I made a story fit in that. And I can do that because I have a vast knowledge of role-playing games. I used to roll live-action role players for hundreds of people, and I had to have each of their individual stories fit together. That's something I'm really good at. The other reason why it's so is because of film. I really deconstructed films over and over again. I was the guy who was deconstructing Terminator and putting it in the, here's the future timeline and taking all the movies and making a future timeline. Or Pulp Fiction, I reorganized it in order because I really want to see what makes a movie work and stuff. And what's interesting, let's take Pulp Fiction, for example. If you make that movie and put it in chronological order, the movie works. It's not as good, but it does have a beginning, middle, and end if you pull it out there. And I learned from that you still have to have all your elements of a storyline when you put together. People talk about story arcs and character arcs, and I think a lot of people don't understand the difference. So a story arc goes up like this. So the story has to have all the drama has to be further and further along until you get to Act 3. And Act 3, you kind of got to be, this is the end all thing. They've got to kind of embrace their destiny. Like Sarah Connor in Terminator, she got to embrace that. She's got to take out these Terminators to move forward, and then you can go forward. But if you have character arcs, and what people have done with modern storytelling is character arcs can resolve some of the things. So if we're talking about the Avengers movie, Captain America has an arc. He starts at one place and ends at the other, and that can kind of supersede some of those things. So if each character has their own little arc, and even if it's subtle, like Hawkeye had I was corrupted and now I have to deal with not being corrupted and be on the team. These are small arcs that kind of build to a bigger collective.
And actually, it's building to a big thing right now on the Disney Plus show. But you mentioned that a couple things. I was thinking about some of the crime series that I really love, like in TV. One of them I'm wearing a shirt for right now, Sons of Anarchy. I'm a huge fan. And I felt like particularly the 5th season of that show was probably one of the most brilliant seasons of any television show I've ever seen. And that one was told, I would say, chronological, because there were a lot of things that happened. In order to really appreciate season 5, you have to watch seasons 1 through 4. You can't just jump in season 5 and watch it as its own thing. However, I will argue that you can watch season 7 without having seen any of the other seasons, and just start with season 7 and watch it progress, because it's essentially the story of Hamlet. And all kind of like concludes there. But another story that did a lot of time jumping was Breaking Bad. And when I look at Broke Down and Four Dead Bodies, it's actually making me think of Breaking Bad. I honestly haven't had a chance to read it yet. It is on my like reading to read list. If I don't sell it fast enough, then I'll have a chance to read it. But either way, I'm going to order more from you, even if it's not the case. But what I really love about crime books is you never know what's coming next. Just when you think that the main character is coming out ahead, he gets a bullet in the back of his head, or maybe he does get away. It's really an interesting genre of storytelling, and I think it's you made a really interesting point, because you're right. If you look at Fatale, if you look at Gotham Central, pretty much every crime pulp story is Sin City, black and white, murky, dark. I love the fact that you got color in this, and particularly I love this variant cover here that you hooked me up with. This is just fantastic, and it feels like a Tarantino movie. Like that's what I feel like you've captured perfectly in comic book form.
Well, and what I did was, if you read the first issue and you never read any other of the issues, it feels like a Quentin Tarantino movie. You read it and you're like, Travis is not a good writer. He's just copying Quentin Tarantino. But that's on purpose. I did that 100% on purpose. I wanted to give you something familiar. I wanted to build your stuff. And then I wanted to show you, but here's how Travis Gibb tells stories. And then I kind of turn it on his head for issue 2, 3, and 4. And you definitely see my style. And luckily, I'm super blessed, even though that's my first completed stories. I did like 4 or 5 films in film school. So I know how to tell a story. I know I've already gone through all that stuff. And I do plays too. I've done 1 or 2 plays that I've written and directed and put on stuff. It's not what I do anymore, but I know how to tell a story, and I've kind of played that out. So I want to give you something familiar that you're used to, because that's good, make you feel comfortable. But I also want to really surprise you and go, oh my goodness, that was really, really good. I didn't expect it to go that way once you see my style. So I built that trust. Here's something you like. Now I'm going to show you what I'm like, and let's go for it. Versus like a Voodoo Nations, where it's very much like, here's Travis. He's trying to tell a story. He's trying to tell it this way. There's no trickery, or there's no like adjusting. It's just like, hey, I'm going to tell the story beginning, middle, and end.
Well, I think that's what establishes, different technique. Not to say that there's anything wrong with it. Like, I'm with you in this boat that I don't want, I think first issues are always the hardest, because that's where you got to bring in everything you said is exactly what every writer should be thinking about when they're releasing that first issue. There should be a sense of familiarity, particularly for me as a dealer. We had Jen King talk to our class yesterday, and she had mentioned that dealers are the end users for your books. Right. Every book that gets put out, we are the end users, right? And the thing is we need to find a very quick way to get these books in people's hands, right? So let's say I have a huge fan of crime novels. I can easily put this in their hands.
Right.
And you're going to show them in that first issue that, hey, this is a crime book. But wait, this is written by a different guy. He's going to pull a fast one on us, and he's going to keep us going for the next 3 issues. But of course, there's also creators out there, I think, that just want to have fun with it. And really, comics are for everybody. And you can do it any way you want. But I think what's really great about what you're doing and your philosophy about making comics is that you are trying to establish yourself. In order to really stand out, I think you do have to find a way to challenge yourself and to really think about what's not on the page, or what can I do to really shock myself. If you can surprise yourself, then your audience is definitely going to be surprised.
Yeah, Jen King, and I'll spoil it a little bit, but Jen King, when she read issue 4, she was like, "Holy crap, Travis! This is a love story," and I was like, "Yep." And she was like, "What? How is this a love story?" And when she read it, she was blown away, and she went back in the other issues and saw it. And yeah, you'll never see that. You'll never know until you read the last issue. Much like, we talked about, I think it's season 5, where Jax, you find out that he's been playing the FBI agent the whole time, right? You think he's going to betray the team.
Oh, no, the Niners guy.
Yeah.
The head of the black mafia, because
no. When he plays the FBI agent, where he thinks that he's going to rat, that he's going to turn in the club, and he turns the whole heel on.
Oh, yes.
He's never going to rat, right?
He played a lot of people in that season. That's why it was such a stroke of brilliance. It wasn't just one person. He showed just how maniacal he could be. He was, and you didn't see it coming.
And that's what's great about Kurt Sutter's writing, Breaking Bad, both the things that you mentioned. I did not expect, because it does not follow the typical storytelling formula, so I don't know what's happening, right? Most things, because I consume so much media and comics and TV, that I know what's going to happen for the most part, and I just enjoy the story. But Breaking Bad and Sons of Anarchy, I was like, oh, that is not where I thought we were going. Why are we going here? Even the Irish season, which everybody hates, like, it pays off in that second part of that season.
I love that you said that about the Irish season. It does pay off, though. Those last two episodes were freaking great. When they killed off Stull, like, that was great. It was all like well played. It was almost worth suffering everything that you went through in the beginning. Well, Travis, real quick, I want to give everybody a chance right now to actually buy your work, because I think we've stimulated everybody's appetite.
Right.
Anybody who is watching right now who is a fan of crime comics and graphic novels who has not been turned on to Travis's work, I assure you, you are in for a treat. Travis is I pulled out some of the stuff that I have here for sale. And Travis, you also have a Kickstarter currently going. I don't know if it's still going to be going by Friday.
We've got 12 days left. Yep.
Okay, perfect. So I would love for you to tell us about that as well, so we can just get something going. We're going to back you as well on the campaign, because we want to stock it. And here's the cool thing: you're working with someone I have huge amount of respect and admiration for, who's I'm currently collaborating with as well, Chuck Pino. And Chuck is a phenomenal editor and collaborator. He's just a sensational guy. So I'm on board for Expired, and you're going to tell us all about it. But real quick, can you break down the prices for us, just in case someone is watching and wants to call it? All right. So we got this broke down in 4 Dead Bodies #4 variant. This is a Pulp Fiction homage, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's a Pulp Fiction homage. That is a limited store exclusive. So if you turn around the back, it's Cowabunga Comics. There was only 40 of those made, so we're gonna have to hit you for 20 big ones on that one.
$20 is nothing for this cover, though. I mean, the quality on this cover,
that cover, you can't see it. Let me grab my copy of it to kind of show the screen a little bit better. That particular cover is made out of other broke down covers, so it's painted right on top of it, which is so cool. I'll show you guys the Virgin to kind of give it a little more detail. So if you look in the mirror, can you see the car?
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of this is painted on a broke down cover. So all of the undergrounds of all the stuff you see, so you'll see little details.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, you have to really look at it. You could see the cover details in the background. Like, this is
right.
really.
So this is on a broke down #1 stuff. This is a beautiful special piece to me. My wife had this commissioned for me for my birthday. It was a birthday gift, and the guy is a good friend of mine. He's like, please, 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 please let me make an exclusive cover for my shop. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So we did that in a Virgin. Now you don't want to sell it.
No, I don't. But here's another reason why I don't want to sell it.
Why's that?
It's got your signature, and it's got your wonderful wife's signature too.
Oh, yeah.
So it's signed by both the writer, and she's your editor on this, right?
Correct. Yeah, and I do have a few of them, so we can sell about 5 of them, assuming I don't sell them on the. I have a couple this weekend as well, but we could sell about 5 of them. It's 20 for the with trade dress, 25 without. Excellent.
And guys, place your orders. Either way, we want to make sure that Travis is coming out ahead here. So if we have more than one person interested in this particular cover, let us know. And then Travis, if someone just wants to jump on issues 1 through 4 broke down and 4 dead bodies. How much is that 4-issue set?
It's $20. $20. So there's a 5, for the main covers, it's $5 a piece. So these are the main covers. I think you have some of these.
I do have some. We're going to give them to you. So go ahead. I just haven't had a chance to pull them out. So we got issues 1 through 4. And one thing I really learned from you when I had you on my show roughly a year ago, a little over a year ago, was you were telling me how much you love 4-issue limited series. And that really resonated with me because that's exactly what I did with Yi Sun Shin is I had 4-issue arcs that allow the story to be contained and it's so great for film adaptation too.
Right. Because
you got that 4-issue run, you collect it as a trade, it's done, you get the whole story. And I love that approach. I love that you're one of those writers that thinks beginning, middle, end. I think it's really hard for a lot of comic book creators to think so abstract because of how demanding this industry is creatively. Like if you look at creators like Cullen Bunn or just any mainstream creator like James Tynion IV, like they have to constantly be turning out more inventory. It's like, what do you got for me this week?
Right.
So it's great, guys. This is an excellent chance to not only support an independent creator, but to get the whole story for only $20. And if you really feel like splurging, get this for 20. I got you covered.
And it's just so you know, the 4th issue is 40 pages. So like it's like a 5-issue miniseries for $20, which is really good.
Oh, that's fantastic.
We do have these kind of covers too. We can sell these are 20 as well. These are hand numbered. This is Walter Osley. They're all hand numbered and they can come signed. These are $20 a piece. These are stuff. There's ones for issue 2, 3, and 4. We're sold out of issue 1 for that. But that's why we have that cool thing. And I also have these. These are medals. So this is
I need to get into medals, man. I really do.
This is a set of medals. We sell it for $200
for the set.
$50 a piece for the set, but with you guys, I'll do it for $150.
Guys, this is a deal right here. Medals sell for big bucks, especially right now. When I was in Orlando for MegaCon, SourcePoint Press was selling metal covers for big bucks. I mean, they were just absolutely demolishing on that front. I saw so many people walking around with medals, and it's a really hot trend right now. So that's fantastic. Okay, let's keep going here. Next up, I have the Staniak variant. It is a vegan cover, and it is signed by you of Voodoo Nations 1. Now, we haven't really gone into Voodoo Nations yet. You've talked about it on the show before, but why don't you give us the pitch as if it's the first time we're hearing it?
Sure. So Voodoo Nations is a story about this guy, Bishop Lucas. Bishop Lucas is a is a voodoo priest out in Brazil. He's helping with a flood that happened to hit a small little Brazilian town. And when that flood happened, tons of people got hurt. So he starts trying to save them. And these missionaries come in and kind of mess up his turf. And it becomes a spiritual war between the two of them. So they come to Brazil, and this dude kind of messes up their marriage and trying to mess up their life, and they kind of flee from him and go to New Orleans in issue 2. And they find out that voodoo is following them, and there may be some deeper things happening to what's going on.
I read Voodoo Nations 1. Still haven't gotten to number 2 yet. I will get to it because I really, really love this. And this is something you and I talked about too, because I'm not into voodoo. I've never been into this kind of stuff before. But reading your book sucked me in because of Bishop Lucas. Yeah. He's just such a great character in the sense that on one hand, you could say he's vindictive. But on the other hand, you could say that these missionaries really kind of stepped on his territory. In a lot of ways, I didn't feel bad for him. I felt like they were getting exactly what they deserved. In my opinion, he's the protagonist of the story.
Right.
But everything is told from the perspective of the wife. And I'm so excited for issue 2. And you've hooked me up with lots of signed copies. We also have this Staniak variant here. So What's the Staniak variant going for?
The no trade dress is 25, and it is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful cover. Staniak, it's probably my favorite cover of the series. And I think did you get some of the issue 2s?
Oh yeah. Travis, you took very good care of me when I was in Con. And let me tell you too, how much I appreciate that. I was at Dragon Con a weekend ago, and I came up to a group of creators, and it was the end of the show. And I was like, hey guys, give me the pitch to your book. So they pitched me their book, and I'm like, okay, I'm a dealer. I want to buy your books, but can I buy like multiple sets, and can you hook me up with like a wholesale price? And they basically said, no. And they just started throwing these weird numbers at me. So I was like, all right, well, let me get 2 sets of your issues 1 through 4. So they hooked me up with that. And then I asked them, would you sign my books for me? I said, no, you're buying it wholesale, so we can't sign it for you. And I was baffled by this because I've never had that experience. Just a moment ago, I had purchased multiple copies of The Flaming Carrot by Bob Burden, and he didn't just sign it for me. He actually put an illustration in there. And this is Bob Burden, who's been in the business for a very long time. But I just want to say how much I appreciate it, and just letting anybody who's a dealer out there know that if you see Travis at a con, go talk to him. He will hook you up because he wants his books in your shop, and he will go that extra mile to make sure that not only are his books in your store, but that they're selling for you, that they're not just sitting there collecting dust, that they put in homes.
Yeah, well, and I want to show an example of that. So look at this. So this is Voodoo Nations 1, 9.9 cover exclusive. Collective, no trade and with trade. Kingdom of Comics, store exclusive. Famous Faces, store exclusive. Home Con edition. So that's for San Diego Comic-Con, store exclusive. The reason why I get that opportunity is because I am all about helping you as a vendor wanting to sell your book. So if you want a store exclusive, ask me. Like a lot of people, I've sold 2 already for expired. I've sold 2 for Voodoo 2. We had 2. People love to do that. And I have art. I get pinups from people all the time. I was like, you don't even have to pay for the art. I'll happily do that for you because I want you to sell this book. So how can I help you sell this book? So whatever I can do to make that happen, I'll call in favors to get something cool, And that's what people don't do. People see their value. What do I gain from it? Not what I get. What I gain from it is people hawking my wares and talking good about me and talking about how much they support my book. Jen King bought 2 store exclusives from me for Voodoo Nations 1. The first one came in damaged. I literally out of pocket paid because I sent her all the copies the first time, did a reprint and sent her all those as well, because it's all about taking care of these people. Even though it made me in the negative for that Kickstarter, I didn't care. It's about taking care of people and building these strong relationships. And because of that strong relationship, the reason why I'm maybe signing a deal is because Jen King said, you need to get this guy, because not only is his books good, he'll also sell the books for you. Because a lot of people, they expect, I got a signed deal. Now I'm going to have to sell things. Well, you know what? Brian Michael Bendis has run a chat room since he started. The reason why he has such a following is because he maintains his fan. Donnie Cates maintains his fan. John Tierney. All of these people have these fan bases, and they continue to talk to him. Patreon from Cullen Bunn. Maintain your fan relationships and build that so they'll follow you anywhere. And what a lot of writers do is I just want to write comics. Well, cool. Then write comics. But if less people buy them, that's why. Sorry, I ranted again.
No, I agree 100%. Travis, a lot of from the very moment we started the show and how you were saying you love people, right. I don't think you can work in comics unless you love people. Right. If you don't love everybody, you can't sell anybody. That's the truth. And right. I guess there's going to be people who you don't like or may like less, but that doesn't it's a general consensus thing here. But anyway, for anybody who wants Voodoo Nations 1 and 2 right now, let's give them a chance. How much are we doing issues 1 and 2 for?
So for the standard covers are $5, but you have some night and day variants. You don't have them in front of you, but there's night and day variants. Let me show you one of the versions of it. So there's a night and day.
we're gonna give those. We're gonna give those to you. Anybody who decides to pick this,
you have a whole bunch of these signed.
Do I have these?
You do. I've signed everything you got. So you can get these. So these come in a pair. It's $12. So you pay a little bit more, but they're a night and day variant, and that's for issue 1 as well. So we have the night and day variants. So people love the night and day variants.
I love the night and day variants. They're fantastic.
The other thing that Onrie has, by the way, but I ended up selling out of. I don't have many Voodoo Nations 1. Like I am probably at the end of this con, I'm not going to have any. So if you want to get Voodoo Nations, until I do a reprint, you're not going to be able to get it because I'm sold out because of people like Onrie.
Assuming you're doing a reprint, because again,
right, I may not be able to. That's true. Depending on what happens, I may not be allowed to. He's also got this. You've got this. This is a Dominic Piorzi covers. These are 20 and 25. This is a very cool cover. Just so you understand, to get this cover on the Kickstarter, you would have had to give me $80. $80 to get this cover. You can get it for $25. Same thing with this. You would have had to give me $60 to get this cover. So, man, buy the stuff. We got this. Michael Watson. And by the way, the other thing, Voodoo Nations, please pray, or if you support, both Michael Watson and Luke Stone are both in the hospital with COVID. Very, very
Mike Watson in the hospital with COVID? Yeah. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's kind of quiet. We're keeping it. It's not as publicly known, and I don't know if he's in as bad of a situation. But yeah,
I'm really sorry to hear that. I mean, Luke Stone is. I got to be honest with you, Travis. I lost my co-writer and mentor on Yisun Shin to COVID a couple months.
Goodness.
And I can only imagine what it's like for you right now, because this is your artist on a series you just started, and no one wants to shout out an artist. And I know that Luke's been in the hospital now for a couple weeks. My heart goes out to him and his family. I really, really hope he pulls through. I hope he's doing better. I hope he's turned that corner, and I hope he's improving, and that he walks out of that hospital, and that you guys can continue to put this together.
Well, and it's not even a couple of weeks. I mean, we're looking at a month and a half. Like, it's not a couple of weeks. He's been there for a long time, So yeah, I'm praying for it. It's really tough. I just got the cover from issue 3 from one of the people who's doing a cover for me, and it's hard because it's less excitement, right? Can't share it with my buddy Luke. Hey, look at this cover. What's going on? But the show's got to move on. We got to do your stuff, but it's a tough scenario. But yeah, so my heart goes out to them, and definitely pray and show some support and get some of their art. Nothing shows that you love and support them more than getting their art. And even if you don't want to get their back hybrids, on Indiegogo, that money goes directly to him.
Well, guys, I just want to point this out for a moment. The fortitude that Travis has, because losing a collaborator really, really hit me hard. Yeah. And knowing that this kind of thing is affecting so many people, this is very serious. You're not just supporting an independent creator when you're buying these books right now. You're supporting a vision from creators who are struggling just to stay alive right now. And so feel free to grab it. In fact, Travis, I know I will sell these on my show. I know I will sell Nations on my show. So if anybody calls it, it's going to go 100% to you. I want you to take it, and I want it to go to you. I have no worries. Everything I have in stock, I know I'm going to sell. Your work sells. That's why I buy from you. So, and
like I said, I don't have issue 1, so I mean, they have to go from you. We'll figure it out.
The issue 1s, you got to come to me. But for everything,
we'll figure it out, though. Don't worry about it. It's all about taking care of people.
Exactly. And anybody who's interested, you guys just come to us. So let's go into
hold on. We got Cthulhu Invades Oz.
Yes. Okay. Cthulhu Invades Oz. We got that. And we have Cthulhu in Wonderland too. Where do I have the Wonderland?
Oh yeah. So what's cool about that is I don't sell that. You can sell that.
Yes.
So how many of those you got? How many of those do you have? Onrie?
I have one. I have one of these.
One of those. Yeah, I only saw those at shows. So you have to see me at a show. Onrie saw me at a show, so he has one. So I sell those for 10 at a show, but since we are not at a show and you didn't have to pay an entrance fee, I think a fair price for that is 20. And that's fully signed by me and my wife, correct?
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah. And
it is signed by both of you.
Yeah. So if my wife doesn't go to a show with me, you can't get it signed. Did Martha sign that too?
I have 2 signatures. I have Heather
and me and Heather. My wife Heather actually did an actual story in that one.
So here's what I feel, Travis. If it wasn't signed by anybody, I would probably do it for 15 to move it. But because it is signed by both of you guys, and because you can only get this at conventions, I think $20 is the right price. Call it as you see it. We got you guys covered on this. There's 1 copy of Cthulhu Invades Wonderland going for sale right now. Throw your calls in the comments. We got you covered. And let's talk about Cthulhu Invades Oz. I have the glow-in-the-dark cover here, which is really, really beautiful. This, soft cover book right here. And this is your anthology work right here, right?
Right.
And then we have the hardcover. So tell us a little bit about this.
So yeah, Cthulhu Invades Oz is about what happens when Cthulhu invades the Wizard of Oz. So Cthulhu comes and invades all the creatures of Wizard of Oz. So from the Tin Man to Dorothy to Scarecrow, all of them. And it's written by some of the best writers in the industry. David Byrne from Stake, Jonathan Hendricks from Recount, myself. We got Chuck writing some stories in there. We got Russell Noltes, who I think was last week's live auction, writing a story in there. There's just David Galliano from Savage Bastards, Stoney Williams from Villainous over at Mad Cave. I mean, these are the up and coming people who are doing stuff in the industry, and you can get their stuff. Oh, Richard Rivera from Stabbity Bunny. I mean, these are names that people know and want to get. So you can get a original graphic novel from them signed. It's $40 for the glow in the dark, $60 for the hardcover.
So this is the hardcover, folks. I know it's kind of hard to see because of the glare, but here it is. We see the Cthulhu on the cover, and then this is the glow in the dark cover. So this one's going for 40. This one's going for 60. Travis has done something really great. I love that you're collaborating with Russell, by the way. It really shows you that there is no competition in this business because you can work together to sell stuff. Yep. Russell also publishes his own Cthulhu-based anthology called Cthulhu is Hard to Spell. And right. It's fantastic to see that. I love that you have this mentality of let's work together. Let's see how we can push our similar products to our customers, and that allows you to sell more, honestly, when you see it that way. But what's great about what Russell and Travis do, and we're going to put the focus on Travis right now, is that you can get all of these signatures if you're at a con, and you can bring these books with you piecemeal and just get these all signed. And you can either do it for resale value at some point and take a $60 book and flip it for $120, or you could just hold on to it because it's just so awesome. I mean, these are creators who are really, I think we're in an amazing time in comics, Travis, because we're probably the first generation of creators who have figured out how to wear all the hats ourselves and really make a living doing it. And there's so many of us that are following suit that it's really, really great. I mean, working with the publisher is fantastic, but when you're doing it yourself, when you're doing it at that grassroots level, you're gaining so much more experience. And not only that, you're in control of everything that goes into the project. So it is literally your blood, sweat, and tears. Yeah. And I think that really sets it apart from, say, a book that's picked up from a bigger name publisher. Now, that's not to say that the work is not as good or anything like that. I think when you're working with a bigger name publisher, that allows you to focus more on the interior, so to speak. Maybe you can have a faster turnaround time as a result of being able to focus more. So it's not a quality issue. It's more of like a time issue. And when you're doing it yourself, more time goes into all of the little nuances that come to publishing. So I think it's fantastic. And I love Cthulhu Invades Oz. I love the presentation of it. I love the Cthulhu Invades Wonderland. Guys, call it as you see it. We got you covered. Now, we're getting to the last 15 minutes of our show here.
Yeah.
I want you to tell us about this project, Expired. And when we're live, make sure, even beforehand, I'm gonna post a link in my email list that goes out. So everybody who knows that this show is happening right now, you're gonna know about Expired. Go and back that campaign. But Travis is also going to tell us a little bit about it right now. And if you guys have any questions about Expired, you could just mention it in the comments, and Travis will respond to it.
Yeah. I'll try to check off the virtual signing when it launches. What time is it on Friday?
So it's going to air on Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific and 5 p.m. Eastern time. So it'll be 5.
So I'll make sure I pop in at least a few times to answer questions, stuff like that. So if you're here, if you got this far, but Expired. So what it is, imagine Hawaii was the whole world. So the 7 islands of Hawaii, I think it's 7, are just sitting there. The rest of the world is water. So this world has been created by gods, and everything's water. So oxygen is limited. So the ruling class has decided how much oxygen you get per life. And basically it's a series about these 5 heroes who are going to try to change that status quo, to try to live, to try to get more breath. So they do a world adventure and try to figure out the secrets of this sci-fi world. So it's a mix of between sci-fi and fantasy. So we've got some races, we've got some magic, we've got a little bit of sci-fi. It's a fun book. What's cool about it for me is this is the first Orange Cone book that though it's written by me, it's not created by me. The guy who created it is a guy named Brent. He paid me to do it. When we started getting production, he didn't know like these things that you talk about, how to get the art team together. How do I get this all to look at it? What does that do? How do you manage that? He realized that was too much for him. He gave it to Orange Cone to have us produce the book as well. So not only did he create it, he footed the bill for it, but it's my book. I wrote the script. I helped put up the story, and it's a lot of fun. It's a first sci-fi adventure. If you like Firefly or if you like Star Wars, you're really going to dig this book.
I love that. I'm so envious of the fact that people are actually coming to you with their ideas now. They love you so much as a writer. They like what you're doing so much that they're paying you to put something together. And how has that experience been? Has he given you creative freedom? Does he step in and say, no, I want things this way? How's that process been? And what's it like working with Chuck for you? Because I have my experiences, but I just, I know we both know where Chuck is headed in his career. And if we can give him some props, this is the time to do it.
Yeah. So the experience of working with somebody, it's tough because I'm used to having all the control. So that's a little tough for me. But he's never been, too difficult. There's certain things that he wants and certain elements that he really wants in the story. And a lot of times it's just explaining, right? Hey, you didn't mention this in the book. Well, yeah, because we have 5 issues. We don't want to overwhelm our readers and explaining those things, which kind of process, which is great having Chuck having my back as he, edits, helps add elements to it. One of the things that he did early on is we talk about this oxygen thing. He said, well, if oxygen is such a big deal, people should talk about it more. It should be in their language, by the breath, like God bless. It should be about breath and about oxygen. So we added little verbiage like that to the community, to the people, to talk about that. And that was such a brilliant insight to the book of what's going on. Chuck really helped me flesh out that universe a little bit, and how this all works. So I love working with Chuck. He definitely made the book stronger. And it's a great book. Super excited. We got Ryan Brown doing a cover. If you don't know Ryan Brown,
he's local to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We when Ryan launched God Hates Astronauts under his own imprint, which again, guys, God Hates Astronauts got picked up by Image and really blew up. But go on, you tell us who Ryan Brown is. I'm sorry, Travis, I cut you off.
Yeah. I totally get it. So Ryan Brown, he does right now. He does a lot of Ninja Turtles covers. He does a lot of Murder Hobo. He does all sorts of really, really cool stuff. Not just God Hates Astronauts. We got a cover from him, which is really, really cool. So that's our rarest cover. We even got it in metal. So there's a lot of really cool things that we're doing that makes this book. We got Luke Stone cover. Just lots of really cool things that makes this book, pop. And again, it's another 4-issue miniseries, kind of one and done, and try to get everybody excited.
That's fantastic. I think there's something to be said about the one and done.
Right.
You know, I think a lot, like I've noticed my son, he prefers those one shots because it's a great way for someone who doesn't have the budget or the time to invest in buying like a series of comics. You got that one shot, you got your beginning, middle, and end all in one book. And it could be 24 pages. It could be as long as you need it to be. But I love one shots. I think that there's so much going for them that is overlooked. And particularly that's how comics used to be made. You know, like when we do there wouldn't be an ongoing story in Superman. There would just be every issue would be its own, adventure. And that's what made it stand out. So
yeah, absolutely. And if you're a retailer, we do have retailer tiers. I know Onrie buys a retailer tiers and stuff like that. But yeah,
let us. Anybody who's a dealer, let us know. We'll put you in touch with Travis. So Travis, I want to talk to you about something. We got 7 minutes left.
Yeah,
you mentioned superheroes.
Yeah,
and I thought about superheroes because when I first got into comics, I always wanted to tell that superhero story. In fact, my first comic was a superhero story, and I was not happy with the results because who's happy with their first comic, right? It's you got to make it so that you realize where you need to improve and where you need to go from there, and that's what led me on my journey to make Yisun Shin. Now, my next story, I finally decided that I am going to do that superhero story. When are we going to see you come to that realization, if ever? Because you are a comics fan. You've been collecting your whole life. You have to be a fan of superheroes to some degree. I know that you love all the Marvel movies, or maybe not all of them, but you talk about it a lot. So what do you see happening for you? Like, is there any kind of superhero story that we could see come out of you in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I'll always do indie comics, but my goal is to write superheroes. I mean, that's hands down. My goal is to write for Marvel and DC on some level. That's my goal. Period. That's what I'm working towards. Everything I'm doing is to build a big enough resume that they have to hire me. That they'd be stupid not to. Yes, I have some. The problem is all the stories I want to tell. When I look at it and go, hey, this is a really good story, I could make my own superhero to do that story. But a lot of times, wouldn't this be a better such and such story? I'll give you an example of one because we got a couple minutes. Imagine one of the ideas that I have is imagine Saw, but in an Iron Man suit. So someone throws you in an Iron Man suit and basically slowly crushes you or does horrible things to you as you are progressing. So if you do it, so imagine like someone threw you into an Iron Man suit, and if you don't do what they like, they crush you or they hurt you inside the suit. So you're in like an Iron Maiden. But if you do what they want, they can do all sorts of good stuff. I think it'd be a great story. I think it'd be super interesting. I could do that and make a whole new character. That's kind of a Iron Maiden thing with a whole history and backstory. But wouldn't that be really cool if someone messed up Iron Man's Tony Stark storyline and did that to him? So
I remember
people get hurt.
It reminds me of something, and of course everything's been done, but not your way. It hasn't been done your way. But it reminds me of that one arc that Joe Quesada, I think, was working on where Tony's armor actually turned on him. But the Saw thing is more premeditated. There was this really great Wolverine story. I think it was called Weapon X. And it was just like, it was in the early 2000s. Jason Aaron was writing it. And there was this really great villain. You find Wolverine inside an insane asylum. He's forgotten everything. And this villain is basically like the head warden of this insane asylum. And he has reprogrammed Wolverine to where he can command him with a control word and get him to do things, and Wolverine will totally black out. And Wolverine escapes from the asylum at the end of the story, and you see him at a payphone, and he picks up the phone, and the guy says the secret word, and that's the end of the story. So you don't know what happens from there. I think that's what's really kind of cool about your story is the fact that it works as an Iron Man story, but what I think really works more and what would really entice me is who's doing this and why, and who are they doing it? Are they doing it to Tony, or are they doing it to someone who Tony really cares about, like Pepper Potts or, you know, Happy, or, you know, just it lends itself to a lot of different cool stuff. Another thing that I think is kind of cool too is the fact that you're holding on to these stories and allowing them to marinate more and more over time. And I really hope we'll see you on a Marvel book, because I'll tell you that right now it's only going to help your other books move that much faster, and that's what we want to see as dealers. You know, is your book selling consistently.
Yeah, man. I mean, I have invested. There's a project right now that I'm investing more money than I've ever invested on a page count ever. Like, it's scary amount of money on a book, and the goal is to get it to a publisher and not do the Kickstarter route. And it's scary, man. It's so scary because I know I can just get that money. I can go on Kickstarter. I have a fan base. I'm ready, but the direct market's different. If that's my goal, is to get into the direct market, I've got to produce things that are for them, and I got to see if my fans follow me. And they may not, and that's okay if they don't. I just need to know that answer, because that's going to change everything that I'm doing forward. You know,
nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Exactly.
I you know, honestly, I see a kindred spirit in you. I've always felt this way about you. I've come to you many times in the past for advice and guidance, and I will continue to do so. I think you're on to such great things, and it's fantastic. Folks, we are coming to the last minute of our show, and we do have to say our goodbyes. So, Travis, why don't you tell us where we can find you and all that other lovely stuff?
Yeah, this weekend you can find me at the Daytona Beach Comic Con. So if you're in Florida, come out and see us on Saturday and Sunday. It's a great con, great show. We got Scout there, Source Point, Silverline, John Crother, all sorts of cool people. Find me on Facebook, Travis Gibb, Twitter, Jester Lou, Twitter and Instagram, and just private message me if you have any questions.
Awesome. All right, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Travis, thank you for being our guinea pig. We appreciate you so much. You're outstanding. We will see you soon. We're going to have you back on here. You're always welcome to virtual signings. Thank you so much.
Thank you.